All right, welcome to Module 6. We're going to start with Lesson 1 problem set. Please read number 1 with me. What is your favorite color? Survey the class to complete the tally chart below. You're not with your class, so what we're going to do, we're going to make up some numbers. How many kids in our class's favorite color is green? I'll tell you. It's 3. So we're going to make 3 tally marks. 1, 2, 3. How about yellow? Yellow's a little bit more popular. We're going to go with 6. 1, 2, 3, 4. Watch this. 5 and 6. Red, it's kind of in the middle. We got a 4. We got 4 for red. 4 kids like red. 1, 2, 3, 4. For blue, blue is the most popular in class. Let's tally. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And lastly, orange. We have, let's say 4 kids whose favorite color is orange. All right, so we have all our tallies. At this point, we are going to read number 2. Please read with me. Use the tally chart to answer the following questions. Read A with me. How many students chose orange as their favorite color? Are you just going to write the number 4? No, thank you. Let's write a complete sentence. 4 students chose orange. How many students chose yellow as their favorite color? You got it. 6 students chose yellow. Which color did students choose the most? Did you say blue? Because you're right, if you did. Most, what is that letter? Students chose blue. 7 students chose it. Let's move on to D. Please read D with me. Which color did students choose the least? How many students chose it? So as we're looking on our chart, which one has the fewest tallies? Did you say green? That is correct. You got it. I'm going to write green was the least chosen. Now we're going to move on to E. Please read with me. What is the difference between the number of students in part C and D? Write a number sentence to show your thinking. Now let's think back. What does difference mean? What operation does difference signify? Is it multiplication? Is it division? Is it addition? Is it subtraction? You're right, it's subtraction. So let's see here. C we have 7. D we have 3. I forgot to do that part. Boop. So now we need to find the difference between 7 and 3. So our sentence will say 7 minus 3 equals 4. There we go. What is the difference between the number of students in parts C and D? I'm going to write my sentence. The difference is 4 students. Now, F says, write an equation to show the total number of students surveyed on this chart. How can we write an equation to figure out the total number of students surveyed? Well, I'm thinking we could add up the number that chose green, the number that chose yellow, the number that chose red, the number that chose blue, and the number that chose orange. Let's do that now. So we're going to add 3 plus 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 plus 1, 2, 3, 4, 4 plus 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 7, and lastly 1, 2, 3, 4 equals a mystery number. Now, let's solve for this equation that we've written. Some numbers that I see jumping out at me right away are 6 and 4. I know that 6 and 4 added together are 10. Also 3 and 7 added together jumps right out at me. It says, Mrs. Brady, add those together because they equal 10. And I know that 10 plus 10, I'm doing it in my head, this is some mental math, is 20. Ding, ding, ding. 10 plus 10 is 20. Now I'm going to add 4. What's 20 plus 4? You said it. 24. Look at that. Side 1 is done. Voila. Let's flipperoo. Okie dokie. It says use the tally chart in problem 1 to complete the picture graphs below. What's a picture graph, you might ask? I will tell you. A picture graph is when you use a picture, in this case we're going to be using hearts, to represent the number of students that chose that color. Because I'm fortunate and my pen bled through, I can look through and see the tally marks for each color. I'm going to start with green. How many students did we have that liked green? We had 3, right? So I'm going to start with green. Each heart represents 1 student. So I'm going to draw 3. How many hearts? You're right. It's 3. Like this. 1, 2, 3. When you're doing a picture graph, you want all of your shapes to be pretty similar in size. You're going to stack them right on top of each other so that when you're looking at the graph, this way, you can see right away, you can see pretty easily which one had the most and which one had the fewest. Now, if I get crazy and I'm drawing a big old heart on yellow, it's going to look like yellow has more, even though it doesn't. Does that make sense? Actually, it does. It has 6. But you know what I'm saying. If I were to draw these green hearts, the hearts on green, real big, then it wouldn't match up if I were to start drawing my yellow hearts real small. Okay, so let's move on to yellow. We're going to draw 6 hearts on yellow, and I'm going to try to pretty much match them up for size and kind of a cross, right? So they're matched. That's what we're doing. So they should be exactly the same looking across. They should be kind of on the same plane, right? So now I have 3, 4, 5, 6. How many kids liked red? Looks like 4. I'm going to do the same thing over here. Remember, 3 hearts should stop at the same place as 3 hearts stopped over here. Perfect. 3. What did I say? 4? 4 hearts. Blue had the most with 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. See how my 6th heart kind of matches up? I made this one a little bit higher, but they're pretty much the same. That's what we're looking for when we're making a picture graph. Okay, and orange also had 4. So let's do 4 on orange. 1, 2, 3, and 4. All right, there you have it. Look at that graph. Isn't that beautiful? This is a really good visual representation of all of the favorite colors in class. You can tell right away that blue has the most and that green has the least. Now, they're throwing us for a loop on the second one because instead of saying each heart represents 1 student, This says each heart represents 2 students. So we're going to do some division. How exciting! We get to use all the knowledge that we've acquired so far in 3rd grade. So, what's 3 divided by 2? That does not divide equally. In other words, how many 2's are in 3? We know that there's 1, right? At least. So we have 1 heart, which represents 2 students. So right now we have represented 2 students, but we're not there yet because there were 3 students that picked green. How can we represent 1 more student? If we put another heart, that would be the same as 4 students. Were you thinking, let's make half of a heart? I love it. You're exactly right. Let's do that. Let's make a half a heart. Just do your best. Was that a great half a heart? Maybe not, but we're going with it. Okay. Yellow. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. This is a good one because if we do 6 divided by 2, we will get what number? You got it. 3. Which means we can use 3 hearts to represent 6 students. 1, 2, 3. If we count by 2's, what number will we get? Let's count. 2, 4, 6. We'll get 6, right? 3 hearts represents 6 students because each heart represents 2 kids. Fabulous. Again, on red, we have 4 kids. So if we do 4 divided by 2, we'll get, dun, 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 dun. You're right, it's 2. So let's draw 2 hearts. And if we go ahead and count by 2's, we're going to end up with 2, 4, 4, which is exactly where we want to be. Now, this next one, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We have 7. We have 7 students that chose blue. Is 7 divisible by 2? It is not. But what is divisible by 2? 6, right? 6 is divisible by 2. So we can get up to 6, and then we'll need to figure out what to do with that 1 left over. And like we've already done this work, right? So 6 divided by 2 is 3. So we know we need 3 hearts, at least. 1, 2, and 3. Remember how we represented 1 over here when we only had 3 students? We're going to do the same thing over here. So we have 2, 4, 6, and then we need half a heart to represent that 7th student that chose blue. 2, 4, 6, 7. Okay. And lastly, we have orange, which is again 4. I'm going to divide 4 by 2 to get 2, which means we need 2 hearts. And if we count by 2's again, 2, 4. It all works out. Awesome possum. Okay. Nicely done. I hope I'm not going too fast for you. We have one more page. This says, use the picture graph in both problem 3B. Why did I say both? Use the picture graph in problem 3B to answer the following questions. A says, what does each heart represent? So, in 3, we're on number 3, 3B, each heart represents what? It says it right here. Right here at the bottom. Each heart represents, there you go. Let's write our sentence. Each represents 2 students. Let's draw B together. Draw a picture and write a number sentence to show how to represent 3 students in your picture graph. Okay, so let's first draw a picture. Just like we did on our on our picture graph, right? We did 1 heart to represent 2 kids, and then we did half a heart to represent 1. And then it says, write a number sentence to show how to represent 3 students in your picture graph. So, how many students does 1 heart represent? You've got it. It's 2. How many students are represented by half of a heart? Yeah, it's just 1. So if we add those together, we will get our total of 3 students. Okay, let's move on to C. Will you read with me, please? How many students does represent? Write a number sentence to show how you know. So remember, when we were going through our picture graph for B, right? When we were going through this picture graph, remember how I was counting by 2s? 2, 4, 6, because each heart represents 2 students. Let's do that again so that we can figure out how many students are represented by this many hearts. Okay? 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14. How many students does represent? I'm going to write 14 students. There are a couple different ways you could write a number sentence, right, to show how we know. What I did was I counted by 2s, right? So one number sentence could be 2 plus 2 plus 2 plus 2 plus 2 plus 2 plus 2. Okay, and that equals 14. What's an easier way to write that? If I have 7 2s, what's that the same as? Exactly. So we could also write that 2 times 7, which was a lot faster and quicker and easier, right? I like that one. Okay, now lastly, please read D with me. How many more hearts did you draw for the color that students chose the most than for the color that students chose the least? Write a number sentence to show the difference between the number of votes for the color that students chose the most and the color that students chose the least. Okay, there's a lot going on in this question. Let's break it down to the first question. How many more hearts did you draw for the color the students chose the most than for the color that the students chose the least? Let's look back, right? So students chose blue the most, and we did 3.5. And the one that chose the least was green, which is 1.5. So then it says, write a number sentence to show the difference between the number of votes for the color that students chose the most and the color that the students chose the least. How many more did you draw? Oh, we didn't answer that question, did we? So how many more did we draw? If we compare, here's 1. So we've already counted that 1. Here's the half. Here's the half. I'm covering up the same thing to see what the difference is. What's left over after I cancel this one out? So here's 1. I'm covering 1. Here's half. I'm covering half. What's left is 2 hearts. So my answer is I drew 2 more hearts for the color most chosen than the color least chosen. Then it says write a number sentence to show the difference between the number of votes for the color that students chose the most and the color that students chose the least. So the color students chose the most was blue, which was 3.5, minus the color the students chose the least, which was green, which was 1.5. We have not done this before, so if you're freaking out right now, I understand. However, oh my goodness. Okay, sorry. However, we can handle this. What we're going to do is we're going to take the half away from 3 and the half away from 1. Okay? We just subtracted half from half, which is 0, right? So we're good. Now we can deal with 3 minus 1. 3 minus 1 is 2. And there's your number sentence. Great job following along. We'll see you back here tomorrow.